This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today that this will be like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts from, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review? You can find Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom anywhere you can find podcasts: iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, TuneIn. Even Amazon's Alexa can read it to you. Today I want to talk about, what do productive people do? What are some of those things that leaders do that you might even call it a hack or a shortcut, but that's really not true. Just what are some of the things they attend to in their life that we could emulate and maybe put one or more of these into practice in our own life? Some of them may not strike you. Others you say, that might be something that I should try. I think one of the first things that, if you're going to really accomplish some things in the next several days, weeks, months, and years, is make sure you're not working on someone else's agenda or that you're not working off of someone else's schedule. Set your own schedule. Now, I happen to be in a position where no 2 days of mine are just exactly the same. And a lot of times, as I get going into the day, it is somewhat predicated on things that happen in other people's lives. So you could fall into that temptation to say, since my schedule isn't always real, regular, and exactly the same day after day, therefore it would be hard for me to come up with an ideal work week. If that is your case, then it is even more imperative that you design and come up with what an ideal work week looks like. You've heard me talk about this, so this is not going to be new. It's one of the reasons that I put a morning and an evening routine into my schedule. Because if you get up early and you have a morning routine that will take some of the things that you really value and you will do, including working on something that's vital, crucial, and important to the goals that you've set or what it is that you're supposed to be doing, and you get started on that really before the day is very far along, it will help you regardless of what the circumstances are for the rest of the day. I'm also a proponent of winding down in the evening, turning off the screens, looking over your calendar going forward, and quickly identifying things that need to be done the next day, and then prioritizing that and coming up with what are the 3 most important tasks. Identify them, and then I think, what is it going to take for me to be able to make the decision or to take this next step? Does it take some emails? Does it take some reports? Does it take some notes that I have previously taken? And I get that all organized the night before. I put it in my briefcase to make sure that when it is time to begin working on that particular subject and that particular project, I don't waste time by searching and trying to locate the items that I'm going to need to help me verify and to be able to accomplish the task at hand. Preparation, which is preparing, saves an enormous amount of time. And it is important to get your day started right and to end your day. And a part of that evening routine, I've already highlighted one. I have a few things that I do, but another one is build in some reflection time. If you haven't been able to accomplish that day all the things that you wished you were able to accomplish, then double your efforts. Sort of evaluate, was it a productive day? What were some of the hindrances and how can I remove them? You have to continually be evaluating and checking things and making sure that you're being effective and efficient. And if not, it's a wonderful time in which to begin making those changes. Let me give you another one that I have found to be indispensable. Often those of us in leadership are somewhat seemingly married almost to our email, and that we are continually checking our email. And I understand that. Part of our responsibilities is to communicate. But here's the thing I want to do, especially if you'll get up early and do a morning routine. And if you're interested in that, there are several previous podcasts in which I specifically dedicate the entire podcast to setting up an effective morning routine. But one of the things I do is I do not check my email until the end of my morning routine. It's quiet. In the part of the world I live in, this part of the year, it's fairly dark. And if I'm able to just get going on those things that are important, it just really helps. And then go to your email. But it will sidetrack you. And if you get up early enough, whether you answer it in an hour from now or an hour and 20 minutes from now, unless it's a horrible world-ending crisis, it isn't going to make any difference. Don't ever underestimate the need to take time for yourself. The other thing, as you're setting morning and evening routines and you're getting up and you're looking to have a productive day, always understand and keep before your heart and mind what is your priority, what are your values, what is it that you are here to do, what are the things that you can do today that will move the ball forward, will make a difference, and get you closer to the goals and the things that you have said that are important. Now, one of the things that's happened in my life, especially when I get up early in the morning to do my morning routines in order to get my day started correctly, oftentimes because of the responsibility I carry, there are late night meetings, and sometimes they even involve traveling 40, 50, 60 miles away. And so you can't get up super early in the morning and stay up super late. And I'm going to let you know a secret that I have just discovered in the last few years. And that is, it is okay to take a nap in the middle of the day. It's okay to take a power nap. Now, I don't mean go to bed for hours, but a good 15, 20, 30-minute power nap can really re-energize, refresh, gives you a chance. I have found it to be helpful. Now, there was a time in my life that I would poo-poo this idea and think that people who took naps in the middle of the day were borderline lazy. But I've come to find out that if you're going to work early in the morning throughout the day and have late evening meetings as well, and with me, it involves some travel as well, you can't just go 14, 16 hours a day. 12 hours a day. You're going to have to rest. And I have found and wished I would have bought into the idea earlier that it's okay to take a nap. I don't do it every day, but the days that I just outlined for you, those would be the day in which I would make sure I would get into a comfortable chair, either listening to music, reading, and just sort of close my eyes for 15, 20 minutes, never more than a half hour. And as I come back out of that, it is amazing how refreshed I feel. Now, while I'm talking about the matter of sleep, one of the productivity hacks that you're going to really need to know is go to bed at a routine time and rest and get sleep. I think the modern person sort of feels like sleep is somehow a deficiency, and therefore the more that we can learn to get by with less sleep, the more productive. And we have found out that sleep is not accidental, it's intentional, it's important, it's restorative, it helps recharge the batteries, the cells, and all of that. And I know that there are some of you who leave a television on while you're sleeping and all of that, but turn the screens off at least an hour before you go to bed. And I'm talking about television, movies, video games, computers, and begin to allow your mind, your heart, and your senses to wind down for a good night's sleep. Well, I do believe that one of the most productive things you can do is to get up earlier. Those of you who don't get up till everyone is already in the office and everything is going, the telephone is going to begin ringing, the texts are going to come in, The emails are going to flood your email box, and you will not have time to control your schedule. And remember what I said, if you don't take control of your schedule, there are more than enough people out there who are more than willing, who are salivating at the idea of taking control of your life, your calendar, and getting you to do what they want you to do. Now, all in our work environments, it's cooperative, and I understand that. But I have found when I get up early, and I'm the first one up in my house, I can get things done. Nobody's much looking for me. The phone isn't ringing. The texts are not coming in. And I'm fresh, and I'm able to give a concerted amount of effort. And I know that many of you are going to say, I am by nature a night person, and I understand that. But what I'm saying is one of the most productive things you can do is get up an hour earlier or 2 hours earlier, not just goof off, but take care of your health, your spirit, your mind, a project, getting something done. It will really, really help you. Years ago, when I read David Allen's book, Getting Things Done, one of the great takeaways, of which there were several from that book, but one of them was his 2-minute rule. I look at a sheet of paper or I look at an email, and if I can take care of it in 2 minutes or less, there's no reason to put it off till later. There's no reason to kind of ruminate and think about it. Just take care of it. Oftentimes, there are papers that come across your desk. There are requests that are made. There are emails you receive that are going to take some thinking, going to take some processing, going to take you talking to some others to gather the information that you need. It's okay to put that aside in some sort of a folder or some sort of a file where you won't let it drop through the cracks, but you'll take care of it. But don't just open an email and leave it open and go on to the next and leave all of these dozens upon dozens of emails open. If it takes less than 2 minutes to answer, to take care, to delegate it to a staff member who's in a better position to answer and respond, do it now. If it takes 2 minutes, go ahead, do it now. One of the things, especially if your life has become a little cluttered, if your office is cluttered, your desk is cluttered, your files are cluttered, your garage is cluttered, your house is cluttered, I would, for the foreseeable future, make an appointment with myself for 15 or 20 minutes every day where what you are going to do in that time frame is work on decluttering and getting organized. I would make it a task. I would schedule it so that it can happen. It's just going to help you if you put everything in its place. You don't need a filing system. You need a retrieval system. Often, everybody I know has a filing system. The problem is it's not effective enough that oftentimes when they're looking for that document, that quote, that story, that letter, that email, they don't know where it is. So don't just call it a filing system. It needs to be an easy retrieval system. Get organized, declutter, and move on with things. Oftentimes you've heard about Eat the Frog. It originated with Mark Twain. I first heard Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy talk about it. And now Mark Batterson's new book, Win the Day, tells the same story. And the story goes something like this, that Mark Twain said, if you have to eat a frog, go ahead and eat it first thing in the morning. Once you get that accomplished, you'll feel much more productive. And he would say, if you have 2 frogs to eat, I've heard it both ways, either eat the biggest one first or eat the ugliest one first. The eating the frog, and why it's always one of my 3 most important tasks, is there are some things going on right now that you've been putting off. And you just keep procrastinating, you keep putting it off, hoping that somehow it will take care of itself, and that never, ever works. And so therefore, just schedule the time, force yourself for however many moments it takes, schedule it in there, and take care of it. It becomes such a mental, psychological, and emotional lift when you know you've already, early in the day, dealt with something that to you is unpleasant, something that must be done, but you don't get a lot of energy from it and you were not really looking forward to it. Do it while it's early in the day, while you have the energy, and just sit down and make yourself do it. Some of the guardrails that I placed on myself with these 3 important tasks, that if everything else about my day became out of control, if I were able to get these 3 things done, I would consider the day successful. And when I have done that, it is amazing how better you feel, how much more quickly you are moving forward. I would say find out what the frog is in your life and make sure you start to eat it. One time I looked at my calendar years ago and saw that my calendar was crammed with appointments and phone calls and all of those things, but I realized one important person was missing from my calendar, and that was me. Make sure you build in some buffer times, some times for you to think, to pray, to reflect, to process, to just sort of evaluate or even perhaps reevaluate where you are. Make sure you schedule some review time, whether you can do it daily or weekly or bi-weekly or monthly or quarterly. You probably need to do the quarterly and monthly for sure, and probably a little shorter than that. But just make sure you schedule some downtime. Make sure you schedule time for your family, your hobbies, and for rest and recreation. You need to be the continual battle to be a well-rounded person. Why don't you try one of these productivity tips today to see if it may be something that you could incorporate into your life and your schedule. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today this was like a vitamin or supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts from, please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Remember, my leadership friend, you are doing better than you think you are. You really are. And until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying have a great and blessed day.